Hey guys, welcome to today's issue of Burner Brother Antiques. Today we're at the Fair of New Boston.
On site, baby.
Yeah. So we were invited out here by the host of the Fair of New Boston here at the Clark County Park Districts, and we're going to meet with them. So let's go down here to the barn and meet with Brian and see what's going to happen.
That was a interesting thing. I never chinked before.
I would say, did you do the chinking like the old?
Yeah, we tried to,
Yeah?
but we used a little bit of sackcrete and lime, a little bit of
stir it up a little bit.
Ford
Yeah.
here behind the Fair of New Boston down here at the Gathering House right now, and we're getting ready to walk out to the main fairgrounds. So let's go out here and have a look at what it looks like before everything's put in. So we have here, guys, is the cannon that is used to fire here at the fair at New Boston. This is a replica of an 18th century Revolutionary War cannon. You can just see it. It's absolutely it's a workable order, and they actually fire this thing. I mean, how many times did it get fired over the
Throughout
weekend?
the day. All
Throughout the day, you'll continuously see live cannon fire from here. I mean, obviously not putting real ammo in it, but you'll see the gunpowder blow, and really cool right here. This is pretty awesome.
It's a good thing they don't have this out today. We'd have to try.
Oh, we'd be shooting this thing, wouldn't we?
We would shoot this.
We can make it happen. Oh, check this cannon out, guys. This is so cool. Oh, I just heard that we could command the gun. Now, how awesome would that be to come out and like shoot a cannon one time? That would be so cool. I don't know, Jimmy. That sounds like a good challenge to me.
I don't think I could miss that.
I think that we got to do that.
I gotta do, right?
Talk about a costume change.
Costume change. There we go. Man, what a cool piece right here. We're in the trailer. This is the cannon.
I'd like to have this in my yard, Josh.
Yeah, this cannon is fired throughout the entire weekend, guys. Fair of New Boston. Well, that's going to be cool, guys. We just got invited to come out and fire that cannon. Bring you guys along with us, so it's going to be cool. Now, Phil, when did the fair start? What is? We're getting ready to walk out here. What are we actually getting ready to walk out onto?
We're walking through the access road from the fairgrounds to our gathering house, and the fair is where we represent the 18th century. The gathering house is a little bit is our modern adaptation.
Right.
So we're going from the 21st century
Into
to
the 18th century.
The 18th century.
So for people watching this, I have no idea what we're talking about when we say the Fair of New Boston. How would you describe what this is?
The Fair at New Boston is an 18th century trade fair that we put on. The George Wedge Clark Heritage Association puts on once a year over Labor Day weekend on Saturday and Sunday. We have artisans from all over the Midwest and west of the Mississippi, actually. We have reenactors from like areas. We have represent the trades of the 18th century, the entertainment of the 18th century.
So it's similar to like when I remember here. We all came here as kids.
Yeah.
One of the funnest memories I have is coming here and seeing all of the trading happening.
Yeah.
You know,
The blacksmiths.
the blacksmiths, and and everything. When he says trade, this is like a trading post would be.
It is exactly right. You'll have blacksmiths. They'll be at this end of the fairgrounds. We'll see in a moment. There's people here doing leather work. There's people here doing selling 18th century goods. So if you need a tricorn, this is the place to be.
The place.
I like the old iron workers up in here when they're pounding.
Oh, you'll see them. They'll be right here on the left, and you can smell them too.
Oh, yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, when we were kids, guys, we used to come here every weekend, every year, not every weekend, but Labor Day weekend every year. We just come here, and the coolest thing Josh remembers getting a bow and arrow.
Yeah. And what was neat, I brought my children here around the same age as when I got mine, and I got them one. Yeah, so it was cool. Yeah, it was just.
And as
really
a kid,
good.
isn't this about the most cool thing you've ever done?
It is unlike anything else that I had done. I came here, you got to see all the stuff being made, but then the food and everything as well. I mean, they offer.
Well, that's what my wife said. She goes, "I want to get one of those big turkey legs."
Yeah,
Do they still gonna have those?
I sure hope so.
I hope so.
and the bean pots and
The bean pots, everything's
and
made.
everybody's dressed in the era.
Yeah,
So
everything.
it's really
So
cool.
here we go. Let's turn the
this is
camera.
cool.
So now we're entering to we have the fort up here. Is this where the cannon's fired from?
Cannon will be on top of the hill to the left.
Way over here at the top of this hill. So behind these group of tents over here will be where the cannon will be fired, way back over here. And then this entire area is set up with vendors. This will have 1,000 people, maybe more, just spread out. When you see all these little pink, I'm sure these are probably the markers for the tents and stuff.
They are. Now the iron workers will be here. We talked about blacksmith earlier.
Yeah.
They'll be here. And I'm a blacksmith as well, but I do not set up at the fair. And they usually put the blacksmith over to the edge because they smell bad. They don't have, it's not body odor. They're burning coal.
Yeah.
And a lot of people not
Right.
east of the smaller
Okay.
pole. So this is where the ironworkers will be. To the right, there'll be a livery where they have cattle,
Yeah.
horses, chickens.
So all that'll be
Maybe
set
a
up
pig
over
or
here.
two.
Okay.
The top of the hill is Hickory Tavern.
The Hickory Tavern.
Hickory Tavern,
Well,
yeah.
what do you get up there?
Hickory Tavern is the only tavern of the three that serves dark beer.
Dark beer.
Yeah,
If you
you
like
get-
dark beer, that's the place to be.
And you get it in a mug. You can.
You
get,
will.
I have several mugs.
Bring your mug. You get a
Several
discount on
mugs.
refills.
Get a discount on
How
refills.
about
Yeah.
the fort? We got to check out the fort.
Yeah.
The
I remember
fort.
this.
The other two taverns are Black Horse over here.
Okay, so we have a Black Horse Tavern that's going to be way over here.
Little John's is over on the left-hand side.
And then we got, now this is the big tavern over there, it looks
It
like.
is.
Little John's Tavern up here. So there's 3 beer taverns, and the beer that's made, is it all like locally made, or how's it?
We get it all through it's Heidelberg Distributing.
Yeah, Heidelberg.
We get
Okay.
it all through Heidelberg. I'm not sure what the brand is. I'm sorry to say.
Oh, no, that's all
But
right.
It's very refreshing on a hot afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Now the replica of the fort. What is that from?
The fort, the fort represents a stockade and a trading post that was built by the British here in the 1770s with the help of the Shawnee. And this fort is about a third of the size of the original fort. This fort would have been set across the road,
Okay.
most likely. We've had several archaeological digs here over the years. Nobody's been able to find where the fort actually sat. But it's here as just a demonstration of what the fort would have looked
But
like.
it's definitely within a mile of where the fort was.
It was. It's within.
Somewhere on the grounds of where the original fort was. We just don't know exactly where it was. Okay.
Exactly. This,
And this is how they would build them right here?
it is. These are pickets, and they're set into the ground, of course.
Yeah.
And then you go through the opening right here, and there is a trading post. This
Wow.
was built last year. It was taken down to about here. We put some new logs in because some of the logs were rotting.
Yeah.
Put some new logs in and rebuilt her. And then last weekend we put some chinking in. And this would be a construction indicative of the 18th century.
Yeah.
We've got some gun ports in here just in case someone with ill intent gets through the front door and
Yeah.
they need to be dissuaded from raising any more cane.
I love it. I love it.
Please
Check
stick
this
around.
out, guys. So here you go. How would you like to be around in the 18th century and live in one of these? Man, talk about a culture shock from today. Going back in time and seeing this, Josh. Isn't this wild?
This is great. Now I remember, it's how you remember as a kid too.
It's how you remember as a kid.
Well, remember going up front, you could go up front and look out the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yep,
still
go up
there.
here. It's still up there. We can go out and look out the top of the fort.
Yep, it was fun.
This is the best view on the field right here.
Best view of the field right here. Let's go up here and have a look.
Good.
This is the same view, Jacob. I can see the British from here.
You can see the British?
Yeah,
That's funny.
this is cool.
So here we
This is a
go.
really neat view of the field.
So there we go. There's the what does it say? Cheapside Tavern. Is that what that is? What's the cheap side?
That cheap side, there'll be some dramatic performances a couple times a day. We'll
Okay.
have a medicine show. We'll have some dramatic performances of, I believe, a little bit of Shakespeare.
A little bit of Shakespeare, a medicine show, and then the tavern's right beside it.
How convenient.
That's what I'm saying. Have enough right here at the tavern. The show's going to be really good.
And right between the tavern and Cheapside, there's
Yeah.
a path.
Yeah, I
that
see
takes
that
you to
path.
the Indian village.
There's an Indian village on the other side of the trees over here. Now
There is
what?
indeed.
Now what Indians were in this area right here that we're representing?
Shawnee were typically the
Shawnee tribes.
Shawnee tribes were the most prevalent. There were also, during the Battle of Pickaway in 1780, there were lots of tribes represented, some Iroquois, Shawnee, and some others. I'm sorry, that's not my
No, that's all
that's
good.
not
It's all
my
good.
area expertise.
Yeah.
But there were lots of tribes represented here during the Battle of Pickaway.
Okay. So what is the Battle of Pickaway? What happened?
In 1778, the George Rogers Clark had gone from Kentucky into the Indiana territory and captured a cannon from the British at Vincennes, Indiana. It was during the Revolutionary War, of course.
Okay.
So George Rogers Clark went to Vincennes and captured a cannon, took it back to Kentucky, and he was using the cannon to protect the settlements in Kentucky from the Indians. The British weren't really prevalent there, but the Indians were raiding into Kentucky and using this area as a breadbasket to use the crops from here to feed their troops to go south.
Yeah.
Kentucky was had enough of that, so
Okay.
George brought a bunch of his militiamen, about 1,000, along with the cannon, north to this site. And he brought the cannon to shoot holes in the fort.
Okay.
Because if you just come up here with muskets, the Indians will wait you out.
Yeah.
And then, but they brought the cannon. They gave battle, and the Indians were defeated and pushed farther north in Ohio, so they could no longer go into Kentucky and raid.
Wow. Okay.
So that's the significance of the
And that's
Battle
what
of
happened
Pickaway.
here. The Battle of Pickaway.
And it was
okay.
the largest Revolutionary War battle fought west of the Alleghenies.
Wow.
But we don't get a lot of respect because the Redcoats weren't here.
That's fun.
In that battle, Tecumseh was actually here during that time, wasn't he?
I understand there's
11 years old.
There's a picture in the Clark County Historical Society that shows the battle, and it shows Tecumseh as a young boy here. And there's some controversy of whether Tecumseh was born here or down the road. So there's the latest research that I've heard is that he's actually born here, but we'll leave that up to the experts.
Nice. Okay, so the Battle of Pickaway that happened here then was between George Rogers Clark and was it the Shawnee, like
That's
fighting
correct.
against the Shawnee
That's
tribes?
correct, yeah.
Okay. And that's what's happened here, and that's kind of what the reenactment that happens. How does that still happen? The reenactment of the battle.
We'll have a reenactment on Saturday and on Sunday both.
What time are the reenactments?
I think they're at 3:00, but please check the website.
Okay.
I'm not certain. I think
so.
they're at 3.
So people watching this video, they're going to say, "Well, I wouldn't mind going to this and seeing all." What's the website?
grcha.org. grcha.org. It's the George Rogers Clark Heritage Association.org, and click on the Fair at New Boston button.
Fair at New Boston. And you guys, if you come out here, you're going to get to see what it would be like in the 18th century. And when I say there's a lot of vendors set up, I mean there's a lot of vendors set up in these fields through here. Food from the period, drinks, beer of the period, medicines being sold over here on the cheap side staging area, and 2 battles, one each day, reenacted right here on the site. This is pretty crazy. As a kid, it was very impressionable just to see how it would have been in the 18th century and what happened around here from 300 years ago. So what's interesting is all the little taverns and stuff are all tent built, wood stakes, tents, and mostly for this they try to really mock how it would be in the 18th century. This one here is the Hickory Ordinary. Another view of the fort from back here at the Hickory. Well, here's the cheap side, guys. You can come here and watch performances of medicine. That's going to be kind of fun.
Hey, Josh, they got a stage for it.
They got a stage for Jimmy. Jimmy might be the one performing this weekend. I don't
Your
know.
old college colors too.
Oh, there you go.
Look at that. What kind of performance are we going to do, Josh?
Well, you know what? Right here's all the seats. We got the performance stage right here.
1780, right?
Yeah.
See, BBA in the 1780s. What would we be selling? We'd be selling 15th century stuff. So
Oh, yeah. We could sell some hatchets, some axes, and some arrows.
axes, and I like it.
Take the wagon for a ride.
Take the wagon for a ride.
Take the wagon for a ride.
Use this as the auction block.
Whatnot right here.
Right here.
Whatnot right here.
Could you imagine traveling across country,
This
Jacob?
is a large wagon.
That's a big
Yes.
wagon.
This is a big wagon.
This thing's massive.
But could you imagine traveling from New
Anywhere.
England states to Ohio?
Oh yeah, on a wagon like
A
that.
wagon?
No,
There's not much shocks and springs on that.
no. It's definitely not going to be comfortable, is it? But pretty cool, guys. Right here again, there's theatrical performances from this spot right here. This is crazy out here. They really do a great job. So here you go. This is the Black Horse Tavern right here. The Black Horse Entertainment, 1794, right here. And this path here leads out to the Indian village where the Shawnee tribe would be set up. Pretty interesting walkway right through the woods. And how big is George Rogers Clark Park?
It's 500 some acres, I think.
500 acres. 500 plus acres here
have a great
of
lake
park.
here.
There's a lake. He just said, is there actual public campgrounds here, or is that just for the people?
I think I don't think there's a public fairgrounds here, I'm sorry to say.
No public campgrounds. Okay.
There are,
Whoa, and then look over here, guys. The village. You come out here, now you're in the Shawnee village, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Check it out. Look at the huts. How cool is this?
And Jacob, this is what a permanent village would look like.
This is what a permanent village would look
Yeah,
like.
a traveling village, when you see all the teepees and the stuff made of the hides,
Yeah.
they use that. Those are encampments they used when they went and traveled for hunting expeditions or
Right.
to go visit other tribes. But when they were at their place, this is how they built permanent structures in their hometowns.
Yeah. Really cool. Check it out. The bark The bark structure right here, made like a period structure would be.
There's a canoe.
There's a canoe being built over here, carved out of a log. Very interesting. Look at the beds. Wow, what a cool structure, huh? And then there's more of them, all scattered throughout the back section here. There's a whole village here of structures, and this is all full too, Jimmy. Right during the reenactment, like you come through here and you can come and go through these.
Represent the Native American culture and history will be here and camped.
Yeah, they make a canoe every year too.
Yeah, and they'll make a canoe. And what's really cool is I love to visit this. I mean, since
you get a lot of education over here, and you
yeah.
get to talk to a lot of different tribe
this is one of my favorite
members.
parts of the fair at New Boston.
Yeah,
Because I mean, obviously, we have that history with Mom. You know, our grandma, great grandma being Cherokee,
yeah.
and this is an awesome place to see and come.
Here's another one, another little
hut
encampment hut right here. Man, this is so cool. Fair at New Boston. If you guys are coming, you're thinking about coming and doing a trip, Labor Day weekend, you get an opportunity to come out and visit the Antique Center and come to the Fair of New Boston on one weekend. Make a 2-day trip out of it, guys. We invite you to come and see something pretty special right here.
Actually, when you come to these places, there will be people in here in Campton. They're just like they were in the 18th century.
It's basically like a living encampment would be, or
a living encampment, and
town,
they'll be doing crafts. They'll be making things that they made back then, the exact same way, with this, using those materials, and it's neat to travel through these huts.
Like the talking of the era.
Yeah,
it's pretty neat to listen.
It is.
It's pretty
really
special.
Cool.
They stay in character.
They stay in character the whole time, and that's the thing, is everybody that's here set up will be dressed in 18th century clothing. Yeah. The tribes all wear their native clothing. Mm-hmm. I remember having like a dance one time, watching a dance when I was here as a kid. I don't remember where that was at, but I remember sitting
representing what their tribe does.
Yeah, very interesting. And again, this is right here, guys. You're only 10 minutes from the Heart of Ohio Antique Center. Pretty special place to come out. So we're inviting you to come out and experience something that doesn't happen but once a year. Labor Day weekend, come out, spend some time here, and then check out the Antique Center. Make a great trip. Bring the whole family. This is just a great place to come and experience 18th century culture. And yeah, look at this one. Here's another little encampment. And like he said, each one of these little huts will be full of people doing their thing in period garments, dress everywhere. And the park is 500 acres. There's a lake out here at the park. Pretty special place.
Jake, if you want to get your kids excited about antiques in the Heart of Ohio, tell them you're bringing them to a festival like this, a trade fair.
Trade fair.
Yeah, and they'll get to see. This will be a memory they won't forget. As we were just talking earlier, I can remember when I was 10 years old here and coming in, they had the battle out where the town actually is now, where they put all the trade. But this has been a staple for many years. I mean, it's awesome. We came in the 80s when I was a little kid.
Pretty special place.
It's a neat place.
It's a pretty special event, and so much volunteer time put into this thing, and a lot of passion, a lot of work goes into it.
It was something else. Kind of set the stage for a lot of
Jimmy, what you were just saying, some of the books that you've read over the years.
Yeah, over the years. I mean, Alan Eckert, he's right here, he's local from Bellefonte, but he was a great historian from. I read A Sorrow in Our Heart, The Frontiersman, The Wilderness Empire. All that has to do with the culture and the history of Ohio, the Ohio Valley, and the frontier back in the 1800s, 1800s. It's really neat. Great reads.
Yeah, and Jimmy's always, his entire life, been like incredibly drawn to our history and all the tribes and the everything that's happened here from the 18th century on, really. So right here, guys, is where the battle will happen. Reenactment. This happens around 3 o'clock Saturday and Sunday. So there'll be 2 battles that happen here, and it's a pretty real reenactment. They'll have Indians will be walking out of the woods over here, and then you'll have all the frontiersmen down here, and there'll be shots fired and different things.
If we come, we'll be firing the cannon.
And right up here is where Burner Brother Antiques is going to fire a cannon. I love it. So right here's where the cannon is set.
The artillery cannon will be somewhere right in this area, right in here, pointed straight downhill.
And you'll be back here with the sword someplace around.
Oh yeah,
and tricorn.
Commencing the fire.
There you go.
Fire!
You want to hold your ears.
It gets loud, doesn't it?
Oh, smoke shoots out about 15 feet, flames. It's impressive.
Very
The
impressive.
good thing is you don't even feel. I couldn't imagine feeling the percussion of a real ball coming out of that.
Oh, that was crazy.
In the 18th century, there were 15 men or matrosses would man a cannon. We manned the cannon with 5.
Right.
In the Rebel War or the 18th century, with the muzzle-loading cannon, once you shot a ball out of the gun will roll back 12 to 15 feet.
Wow.
That law of physics for every action is equal and opposite reaction. But we just shooting blanks, so the gun will rock, but it doesn't move.
Okay.
So in the 18th century, you'd have 5 guys to shoot the gun and 10 guys to drag it back to where it was to start with.
Wow, I did not know that.
Calibrate it and make sure that the stuff,
Exactly right.
the angles are right on it to where you're actually hitting, or if you had to adjust it, they had to get it to the same spot so they
Exactly
could
right.
calibrate that to raise it or lower it to go farther. And
You're going to make a fine gun command.
Oh, right there. Jimmy's in charge. Jimmy's got it.
Jimmy's in.
That's so cool. And guys, right behind us here, this is called the Hertzler House. Now, we are going to come back and explore the Hertzler House with you. We're going to shoot that on Friday. And that's a period home to this property. And it's full of period antiques. And it's an incredible museum. We're gonna walk through that and share that with you guys, invite you to come out and be a part of that as well. So what happens, guys, is you'll actually park down here. There'll be parking down here, and then you'll walk right up through here, and then through this alleyway right here, this fenced-in area, you go into the fair. It's going to be pretty crazy. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to go next and show you where the Battle of Pickaway we believe actually took place. So right here, guys, this is an old foundation that predates the actual Hertzler House here. There's a lot of stuff in here. They found fragments. They found all this different stuff. The Kiefer cabin, 1846 is when they believe this was sitting here. So this is pretty cool, and it's all fenced in.
This looks like the stuff we make.
We make that all the time.
We do that all the time.
The broken pieces.
Broken glass.
You guys are getting experts in that, aren't
We
you?
could do that.
Toss it out here.
So we are now here at this monument, Tecumseh, great Indian chief, Shawnee, 1768. Right here is a picture of him, and that's when he was, you said 8 years old or so, Jimmy, 10? I forget what you told us. As a young boy, he was here watching the Battle of Pickaway.
He was born, wasn't it?
He was.
Yeah,
That's when he was born?
1768 when he was born. He
Okay.
died at the Battle of Thames up in Lake Erie. Canada.
And he actually competed in games in Springfield, even like track
yeah.
and stuff in Springfield. He would come and
Well,
race.
From my understanding, Jacob, the battle actually took place here because the cannon that they brought with them, they had trouble getting it across the river. So they had to find a spot to be able to get that cannon across the river to be able to get onto the village.
Okay.
So that back then they didn't have roads, so they had to find a spot that was
Find something
that was
shallow or
rocky and
whatever.
shallow enough to get that cannon across.
And right here is where the great battle actually took place. And that's now a park, right?
That's correct. That's the building you see is the Davison Interpretive Center.
Yeah, that's an awesome
That's run by the Clark County Park District.
And that's going to be open
It'll be open on Saturday.
on Saturday as well with the fair, yeah.
There is a lot of really, really neat artifacts in that building, Jacob. I never knew that existed for a while, and then when the first time I found it, I was like, I found myself, I couldn't not go back.
Yeah.
Because you see, it's really a good representation of what was here. But you will want to see that cabin over there in that little place. It's awesome.
And right here is the front side, guys, of the George Rogers Clark monument right here. And there he is himself, the George Rogers Clark, up on the top. Now, Clark County is named from George Rogers Clark, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's the county we live in.
That's the county we live in. It was actually named after George Rogers Clark.
And here we go. So we're inviting everybody, come attend, have some great time here at the Fair of New Boston. It's at New Boston.
That's correct. Yeah.
At New Boston. How did New Boston get the name? Like, what is anything about? You know anything about the name?
My understanding, there was a town here called New Boston that was competing with Springfield to be the county seat.
Okay.
And when Springfield was named the county seat, the town of New Boston fell by the wayside. And
kinda dissipated.
The only thing left of New Boston is a cemetery across the road here.
Okay.
It's New Boston Cemetery. But when Springfield was named county seat, New Boston fell away. And when the founders of the fair at New Boston were looking for a name, we thought this is the location of New Boston.
Yeah.
It's not historically accurate in that there was never a fair at New Boston that we can pinpoint, but it's an homage to the town.
Okay.
That what could have been if they would have been named the county seat.
I love it. Okay, that's perfect. And there we go, guys. Coming out again. It's Labor Day weekend. The date of the fair is actually the 31st.
August 31st is Saturday.
It's Saturday.
September 1 is Sunday.
And September 1st is Sunday. A 2-day event. It's coming up. It's next weekend. It's 2 weeks. Not this weekend, but the following, right?
Not this weekend, but we actually have about 10 days.
About 10 days. So there you go, guys. Burner Brother Antiques are officially inviting you to come and join the fair at New Boston. And we'll be here. We're gonna light a cannon off. Come join us here. So right here it is, guys, the fair at New Boston. When you're coming, this is the entryway that leads to the entire complex. And back over here behind these trees is where we just were. And here's the Hertzler house. So welcome to the fair of New Boston.
Hey, come join us at the fair. We're gonna have a fun time.
So guys, we're right here at the Gathering House in front, and
on,
Jimmy's old friend. Like, these guys are buddies, right? Long time.
Well, it's Chris. Schultz.
Have been for a long time.
Been for a long time. Josh too. Josh worked for him. Get up here.
Come on up here, Josh.
Come on.
Okay. So how do you guys know each other? First off,
Well, we all worked at the sheriff's office.
Together.
He still does.
he still does.
A number of years.
Number of years. Okay.
For many years.
And now you're here. What is your role at the fair of New Boston?
So I am the George Rogers Clark Heritage Association is the organization that sponsors and produces the Fair of New Boston every year. It's a nonprofit historical education organization. They've been in existence since the early 70s, which they organized originally to commemorate the bicentennial Battle of Pickaway, which took place out here in this area in 1780. They did the reenactment of Pickaway in 1980. And everybody who was involved had such a good time, they decided they wanted to come back and do this every year. So beginning in 1982, they took a year off to kind of organize things. In 1982, they came back with the Fair at New Boston, and the Fair at New Boston has been going on since then. I am currently the president of the organization, the Heritage Association that sponsors the fair. I'm also one of the 3 fair masters that helps organize and run the fair, and I'm the military chairperson for the association and the fair. So my responsibility is organizing and ensuring that all the military units that participate here are properly outfitted and equipped for the time period.
Okay.
We run what's called a juried event. That means that we look for the authenticity of the clothing, the accoutrements, and the camp that everybody is using.
It keeps it real.
Yeah.
Keeps it real.
That's the idea, is to keep it real.
Yeah, absolutely.
The goal is to provide people with as close an approximation of what they would have seen in the late 18th and early 19th century, coming to any of the trade fairs in the then young and nascent United States. So
Okay.
that's the goal of what we do here, and also to have a good time and have fun.
Now, we talked earlier about the battle, the reenactment battle, when it actually happened at the fort and on the field. What year did that change? Because they had the reenactment where I was a kid. I remember coming and we actually watched it happen on where the fair is now.
Yes, we've had a couple of events out here, and we do other events out here. The original event in 1980 took place out on the field where the fair takes place, where the Stockade Fort is. There were actually 2 events. There was one called the Battle of Fort Liberty, where they organized British regulars and Continental Army troops, and they fought out here. And then they did Pickaway, which was Clark and the Kentuckians versus the Shawnee. Later on, over time, we've done other events out here. The Fair at New Boston has not typically been a military event. Typically, there has been a military event during the year, but that dropped off after the 225 event of Pickaway, just because organization of those kind of events is difficult, and there weren't enough people volunteering to help run those events to take place. We incorporated a small military tactical into the fair that takes place early in the afternoon.
Right.
So everybody has the opportunity to kind of see what military activity looked like when it was taking place at that time. The fair has typically been 1790 to 1810. Most of the military engagements in that time period were the Northwest Indian War. There was also the quasi-war with France, the Whiskey Rebellion. So smaller engagements or more spread out engagements. So we try to give folks an idea of what was going on militarily at that time, but the fair is predominantly a civilian event, trade event. We do have military events out here. We do a French and Indian War event earlier in the year where we have tacticals that take place on the field and use the stockade. We've done the Road to Culloden, which is the Jacobite rebellion in Scotland in the 1740s. We've done that out here. Our goal with military is to just give the public in this area not just an idea of the military events that took place here, but kind of a wider view of how the world was in the 18th and early 19th century.
That's what I was going to ask you. As far as the public goes, how many people usually come to the fair over the? It's a 2-day period, right?
It is a 2-day period. Saturday and Sunday. We have
weekend.
We have an education day on Friday, right before Labor Day weekend, where we bring. We have a lot of homeschool kids that come out here, but we bring the schools that are still doing field trips. They bring typically 4th and 5th graders out here, and we give them a somewhat abbreviated version of the fair in New Boston. They see a lot of the artisans. We don't do any kind of military activities, but the cannon crew is here. My infantry is here. We're all out in the field, and we're talking to the kids about the history of what goes on out here. But Labor Day weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we've had a high, I think our highest attendance we've ever had total of people over the weekend coming through is like 30,000 people. Typically we're running in the 10 to 15,000 people over a weekend of people showing up. So there's a good interest in it. It's long standing. There are people that come out here for specific things, specific foods from specific vendors.
Well, talk about the food for a second.
And food, and actually handmade, you could, like if you want to take home nails that were made back from the 1700s, they'll actually make those here.
Everything that is done, everything that is presented here is something that would have been found in North America, typically, in the late 18th century.
What kind of food?
Everybody
likes to know about food.
Everybody wants to know food. We've had a rotation of food over the years, but we have a ham and beans vendor that makes their food authentically as it would have been made in the 18th century. And if you think ham and beans are good now on a stove, you have no idea how good they are.
Usually they're out.
Yes, yes.
Every time I get in the line, we're making more.
We're making more. Tells you the popularity of ham and beans. We have ham and beans. We have bread and butter. We have sausage on a stick. We have berries and cream. We have peaches and pound cake. We have bison on a roll. There's just too many.
And when you get done with that and you're thirsty, you can go right up the hill.
We have 3 taverns on the field serving the finest adult beverages that you can get in the 18th century.
You have the mugs.
Yes, they sell mugs. We do sell mugs. We get a number of people who come in every year and buy a different mug just so they can have one.
I have a collage of mugs.
You have the collage of mugs.
And actually, I was told to bring my mug back.
Yes, the mugs are refilled.
Refill, yeah.
The mugs are refilled. That's the same valuation as what you would buy a cup of beer, but the mugs are a slightly larger quantity than what you would get. So buying the mug is a worthwhile endeavor for those that
So if I have 2 mugs,
if you have 2 mugs, you can get 2 mugs. That's cool. But we have 3 taverns. We have a coffee house for those that don't want to partake in adult beverages. Not that we don't have other beverages available at the taverns. We have lemonade, we have sarsaparilla, we have water. But the coffee house does just that. They serve coffee. We actually offer, beginning this year, we have gone into a partnership with Blue Lion Coffee. Blue Lion is a purveyor of 18th century roast and ground coffee. So we will have our regular coffee at the coffee house that we serve, but we'll also have Blue Lion available. And then Blue Lion has a booth on our field where they sell the coffee raw to take home, so you can enjoy the 18th century on Saturday morning when you're.
I see you have this shirt on. It says Fair at New Boston.
Yes.
And do you have merch like that at the fair that you could actually purchase?
We do have T-shirts that we offer. We're still working on the design actually, so that won't be too soon before the fair. That's the one thing we're still working on.
Okay.
But yeah, we do have merchandise available here. We also have a plethora of vendors out here that have.
Yeah.
How many vendors will be here?
I believe it's 104.
104 vendors.
And they'll have, like Josh had talked about earlier, he bought a bow when he was little that was made from back in that time.
Yes.
And
everything that's offered on this field is something that would have been seen, as I said, at a trade fair or some similar type event in the late 18th or early 19th century.
Well, and I see we brought some of that to modern day. The ball on the cup
and ball.
Cup and ball. Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of kids that come here. They love to get that
Yes.
and do it. That's something that was back then that was a fun little game you can take with you and put it in your pocket.
There's no cell phone. There's no game system.
They had to figure out what to do with their time.
Yeah, no television. Yes.
So they had to make
Hoop,
games.
and that's the one thing that we've discovered with the children that have participated in this event. My own children have participated in this event since they were little when we started here. And my middle son continues to participate heavily in this hobby. My other two they're dabblers. They dabble in it from time to time. But we have seen over time that a vast majority of children that are involved out here, they remain involved as adults because this provides, the typical what your parents or grandparents would say in our era: get outside and get some fresh air.
Go play.
Go play. That's what this allows for kids to have, and not only the kids that are participating and are dressed in period clothes, but also the 21st century kids that have not spent much time away from television or the modern world. When they can come out and stand in a livestock arena and see or touch a live oxen that pulls carts and does that kind of thing, or animals in the livery, that is something that they don't have constant experience with.
Yeah, someone has to bring all that stuff here. So you'll have the people that are part of the fair, and they'll come in from everywhere, from all around the country.
They come from Canada. They come from out
how many
west.
people will actually come in that are participating in the fair itself?
We have almost 1,000 that come and participate in the fair itself.
That is awesome.
With the actual artisans that come in and their assistants, the merchants, and they're assisting people, the folks who volunteer at the taverns and the coffee house, and who do just our regular, ordinary, day-to-day work at the fair. We have almost 1,000 people that come and participate.
And it's really a great thing for the county and for the fair for itself and for the time period and the culture, because there's so many people that pour a lot of time and energy into this to keep it going every year and to keep this heritage going. And it's really an awesome thing that you guys are doing here.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. We think it's awesome too. It's a good time for people. And we spend a great majority of our time. We get a number of people who are always interested in this hobby when they come in, because they see us. We're having we do this for fun. Nobody's paying us to do this.
I told him, I said, if I wasn't doing antiquing with these guys, I would be out here at the fair in New Boston in some kind of garb. Just playing the part and doing my thing.
It's
awesome.
a good time. It's an entertaining time to come out here and just hang out and talk to people and do history. Just live history. That's what we call living history, is to live what went on in the past. We learn new things. We learn how to operate equipment and machinery that we didn't have available readily today. That's antiques. We take out here what you guys sell at Heart of Ohio, and we actually utilize it and use it in the day-to-day functions of the activities that are taking place.
Yeah, I'd like to go back to this time period and gather up some of that stuff and bring it forward.
You're not the only one.
But it's a great place to bring your kids and to bring young people and to get them to see how things were developed and how trading happened and really what the country was just not so long ago, a couple hundred years ago.
Yeah, we're a very young nation in relative terms to the rest of the world, and the change in our culture or society, the technology that we have today has been dramatic over that 200 years. And we're fast approaching the 250th anniversary of the United States, so we're kind of gearing up for that also.
Okay, I bet that'll be an interesting fair.
To make that, we want to bring that educational opportunity and aspect out to the public also. You have to forgive the tractors and everything running around. We're still sitting there. The educational opportunities that we have with bringing that history to life here in this area is extraordinarily important for the community here, not just in Clark County, but everybody around. We get visitors that come from all over the state and out of state just to come to the fair at New Boston, and that makes us happy because that means we have people that we have touched who are willing to come and be educated by us in the history and the heritage of the country in which they live.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely, anytime.
We'll be here,
and we hope to see you guys and bring your camera back and watch that cannon go.
We're gonna light the cannon.
We can fire the cannon.
We're firing the cannon.
Hey, Phil's the man in charge of the gun.
He's gonna approve it, right?
Yeah. Chris would
We got him on camera.
I got it. He approved it right there. I got it.
We'll get you commanding the gun, and you'll be out there with all the goodies and dropping the sword. Off she goes.
Well, guys, again, we hope you liked this video. Something a little bit different today, but we invite you again to come join the fair. And don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and we'll be back Friday here filming the antiques, which are absolutely amazing from the Hertzler home.
I do.